My name is Amy Morgan, and I work for the Chamber of Commerce in Winter Park. For those of you logging on from elsewhere, that's near Orlando, Florida. We're so glad that you found us either through our Zoom webinar link. Little technical difficulty there, hearing myself on the Facebook Live. As I was saying, glad that you are here either through our Zoom webinar link, on our Facebook Live, or even on YouTube. We're excited to talk to you today about what Relaunch is, how it might benefit you, and we'd love to hear some of your questions. I'd like to thank Tiffany Cahill, who's currently sharing her screen. She's our event manager and is going to help us moderate some of the Facebook-specific questions while I will help with the Zoom questions. So thank you once again for being here. At this time, I would like to introduce you to Betsy Gardner-Eckbert, who is the president and CEO of the Winter Park Chamber of Commerce. She herself took a career break and then founded the Relaunch Program. Betsy, we'd love to hear a little bit about you and the program, and then I have some questions for you. Just double check your mute button, Betsy. We can't hear you at the moment.
Is that better? Thank you, Amy and Tiffany. I really appreciate you all helping us navigate through some challenging times, and not least of which with technology, but also created some opportunities for us. There's a wonderful slogan that says, challenge is a dragon with a gift in its mouth, tame the dragon and the gift is yours. So we like to think about the opportunity that we have from the difficulties that we're all going through right now. And I love thinking through about that, about the possibilities that are being presented to people who are feeling an urgent call to go back to work, as maybe their partners have had a scaling back of work, or potentially there may be a loss of income. So we designed this program really to meet the needs of employers who were having trouble finding adequate talent. About 3 years ago, when we started the program in 2017, we launched a pilot, and I, as Amy said, lead the Chamber of Commerce in Winter Park, and we had a number of businesses that were really speaking to how difficult it was to find really good qualified talent in a very tight job market. And when we set out to do that, we started communicating with our community, and we said, oh, who's at home and who might like some help closing the confidence gap to get them ready to go back to work. And so we launched this program in 2017 to help meet some of those needs. And we had a very talented group of women come out for our pilot program. We had an Army captain, we had a Notre Dame law grad, we had a chemical engineer, we had a woman who had a background in international business who was fluent in 4 languages. We had just the kind of talented people that I expected we would have if we started reaching out to women who were at home. And we know that women who are at home are doing 2 very powerful things. They are leveraging what they knew how to do from when they worked before, and they're using those skills, and we call those hard skills. And that might be budgeting and accounting. It might be marketing to help run a school fundraiser if they're full-time volunteers. It may be actual hard skills. But one of the things we know is that soft skills develop for people who are home, especially taking care of small children or maybe an aging parent. And soft skills are things like collaboration, resource management, the ability to be flexible, the ability to manage multiple schedules at one time. And we realized that women who are home are really a treasure trove of soft skills. As our workplace becomes more automated and it becomes more AI driven, there are deeper and deeper divides between the customer and the experience for the customer that's being mediated by a machine or a person. And as we become more customer focused and more AI driven, we are starting to lose some things in the translation. So employers are reporting a real deficit of soft skills in the talent pool. And when we can help women identify what their unique value is to the marketplace that includes a soft skills portfolio, we're able to tell a powerful story about how women who have been home can help people solve business programs on their teams. So the program was a success from the start, I'm pleased to say. And we actually moved into our second year, which is the year that we received the National Prize for Chamber Innovation. We were surprised to learn that we were innovators to the degree that we beat the Vancouver and Boston Chambers of Commerce in submitting innovative ideas for developing workforce and economic development, which is what the lifeblood of what chambers of commerce do. So we've been able to work with a lot of talented women since that time and help them understand what their value is and how they can get placed. But the problem that persists for women, even as they move through the program and even after they finish the program, is confidence. And confidence is something that we know that afflicts people who've taken any length of time off of work beyond 6 months, and in any gender, whether they be men or women. So we know that this is a very real problem and that we have to solve that problem head on by addressing it and understanding it, and then equipping our graduates with the tools to be able to overcome some of the deficits in confidence that they naturally have from taking time off of work. Women are plagued with this confidence gap disproportionately to men because there's so many more women that choose to opt out of the workforce to stay home with children. So it's not necessarily a women's problem, it's just that it befalls women more often because more women opt out of the workplace. So we are really excited about being able to deliver a workforce development solution for our community that enables very, very talented people to find their way back to work. And we know that some women don't want to go to work full time. They still want to be able to go to the volleyball tournaments or be on the PTA or whatever it is they've made time for in their priority scale. But we also know that some people do want to go back full time, and we're finding fit for people who are coming through our program in both places. So we look forward to sharing a bit more about the program as we move forward today. But that's it in a nutshell. We have become a regional talent source, an unlikely talent source, but a regional talent source for people like Orlando Health, for law firms, for nonprofits. And it's been a satisfying journey to be able to see people live up to their full potential and unlock their full potential in a return to work journey. As Amy said, I took a 13-year career break myself to stay home and prioritize my children. And if I could do it again, I wouldn't change a single thing. I'm very grateful I had that time at home with my kids. And I'm also equally grateful that I'm able to come back to work and make a difference in my community. So it's a win-win for our employers and for the women that come through the program. And we also hear from partners, from the husbands of women who go back to work, who comment on how much more engaged and interesting their wives are within the family unit. And then women tell us that they're proud to be role models for their children. So we hear great things from both sides about it, and I look forward to answering more questions today.
Thank you for that great intro, Betsy. I have a couple questions that I thought we'd go over, and then we'll open it up to the audience for your questions. So first, Betsy, could you talk a little bit about some of the topics that we cover in the Relaunch program?
Yeah, so I have a background in sales and marketing, and one of the things that we teach our class participants to do, and probably the most important thing that we teach our class participants to do, is to sell themselves. All of us have got unique blends of talent that sometimes it's harder for a woman who's been home to know what that talent is, to understand how that's a unique combination. And it's sometimes hard for them to realize that that's a value in a commercial setting. And what we do is we start from a place of understanding your values, understanding your priorities, and then we really want to look at what's that unique blend that makes you you, and we call that unique blend your personal brand. And we work very hard to help you create and understand your personal brand, what it is and what it's not. And then once we understand exactly what that unique value proposition is, we can go and we can leverage it. So we teach you the skills to sell that brand through things like LinkedIn, through your interviewing skills, through the way you start conducting yourself at Publix or the grocery store, by the way you start attending cocktail parties or school events with your kids. We teach you how to put yourself out there and start seeing yourself through the lens of this unique and identifiable brand. And we always hear back from our class participants that that's a transformational moment, when they start seeing themselves as an identifiable brand that they can now start sharing with other people. So everything stems from branding, but we also know that a woman who's in midlife has a very strong sense of what she's about and who she is. And we encourage people to really lead from a position of passion and value. So we do a whole values inventory, and we help our participants understand what it is they do value so that we can help align opportunity with what they value. So we'll do a lot of sort of the psychology of reentry. What are the barriers that exist for you to believe in yourself enough to press the button on a reentry moment? And then how can we help you dive deeper into this understanding and awareness of your brand having unique, hard, and soft skills combinations that make you a very powerful offering to the job place. So we will start with that sense of the branding elements. We go into values. We'll talk about the psychology of reentry. And then we'll go into some really tactical things like how to interview, how to write a resume now that it's 2020, which is a very different value proposition than how we wrote a resume in, say, 1991. And then we're going to get your LinkedIn to where you all will be an all-star LinkedIn performer. So LinkedIn measures how much information has been loaded in, and we will get you to where you load in all your information on LinkedIn, and you'll have an all-star LinkedIn profile. And then we will help direct you in our online class to a day where we're doing headshots here at the Winter Park Chamber of Commerce, and you can get a headshot to align with your LinkedIn branding to make it look like you're actually already at work, which is usually when we ask people, can you tell us if this woman already has a job or not? They usually say yes, and that's a woman who's in the queue looking for a job, but looks like she already has one. So all of those branding elements of having a very strong visual presence, having the LinkedIn branding that goes with it, having a strong sense of who you are, being ready to tell that value story over and over and over again as an elevator pitch, and then also being able to share that unique value in an interview setting, combined with tips on how to dress, how to email professionally, which sounds like maybe you wouldn't need help with that, but you'd be surprised. Some people find that of real benefit in our class. And then so we combine equally some hard and soft skills training in our modules that we deliver through Relaunch to create value in that way as well.
Great. And if I'm on this call and I'm wondering, is this a program for me? What would you say to them? Could you talk a little bit about the ideal candidate and also touch on what underemployment is?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a lot of our candidates are either not working at all or they're working in jobs that are described as being underemployed. So a great example of underemployment is a woman who had a career as a healthcare administrator, ran surgical centers, and won national awards for her ability to run them efficiently and safely, who spent 15 years working as a preschool teacher because she wanted to work on the same school calendar as her children. So she received far less pay, recognition, and career advancement opportunities in the preschool teacher role, but that was a role that suited her lifestyle needs for when her kids were home. So that's a case of underemployment. A lot of the women that come to us are underemployed. They're currently employed, but they're not aligned with their unique blend of skills that would help maximize their earning potential. So the other type of candidate that we see is someone who's strictly at home, might not have worn a suit and heels in 20 years. People usually try to scare me with how hard it's going to be to get them back to work. And we're just not terrified of anybody's stories when people say, oh, well, you're going to have a hard time getting me back to work because I've been out so long. We've seen people out as many as 2 decades or more. So that length of time really doesn't matter. A great example is any woman who's got an accounting background, I can put you back to work in a heartbeat. So it just depends on the industry and the person and what you're looking for about how long it will take for you to get back to work. But we've been very successful in placing about 80% of our graduates within 6 months. Each and every one of them felt when they started out, who in the world would want me? So if you're feeling who in the world would want me about going back to work, you're not alone. And it's certainly a feeling I had. So I'm familiar with that feeling. And we've really geared the program toward understanding that our class participants are starting out with a real deep well of insecurity about their journey back to work. Some of you may be feeling a sense of urgency with the economy, the way it's going to be going for a little while, and that's a good thing. We want to embrace that. We haven't had that opportunity since we've launched the program, so we're looking forward to hoping that we'll get some catalyzation from those efforts. But mostly someone who's already got a really slick and built out LinkedIn profile and who's already in work that's satisfying and aligned with what they're capable of, it's not an appropriate fit for the program. I will say that we've become a well-regarded place to network and grow your career. So some people do try to apply with us who are already in fulfilling roles or roles that match their capability and place in their career cycle, but those are not appropriate candidates for the class. The reason why is that we do create a very safe space within our class for people to come in from whatever stage of their journey that they're on. They may be struggling to load things into a computer. They may be really loading things in with ease on the LinkedIn profiles, but we want to make time for everybody to catch up and arrive in their own pace there. And it's not a place where we're going to shame somebody for not knowing how certain computer programs work, or how could you not have already had a LinkedIn profile. Usually someone who doesn't have a LinkedIn profile already is an ideal fit for us. So we want people to know that LinkedIn, we realize, is something that widens the gap between those who already have jobs and those who don't. And we are going to use LinkedIn to our own advantage to help our class participants accelerate their pathway to reentry by using LinkedIn powerfully to tell their own professional stories.
Great, perfect. Thank you for that answer. I want to talk a little bit about how about what candidates can expect as far as job placement and what the businesses in our community are saying about Relaunch alumni that are hired on with them.
So that's a great question. A couple things. We talk about in our first session about what Relaunch is and what it is not. So we are not a hiring agency. We're not a temp service. We're not a jobs placement service. We help you prepare yourself to go out, and we teach a person to fish instead of giving them the fish. So we will give you all the skills that you need to successfully present yourself to the job market. And then we will continue to give you a link to opportunities that continue to come through our network as a result of the respect that we've been able to generate in the community for what we do and how we do it. What we don't do is we don't call you up and say, oh, here, I have the perfect job for you. We actually know that in the process of Relaunch itself, it will become more clear to you what your skills are. Now, some people really take every minute of the entire course to understand what that is, and even then still may not have a clear sense of what it is as the class wraps up, but they're much closer to where they were before. What we hear from employers, and I love this because I have a whole bunch of men that call me up and ask me for, quote, some of my women to apply for a role that they have open, because they see the value of a woman who's already raised her family, of a woman who's got a lot of life experience, who has a low tolerance for risk, who understands how to collaborate, who isn't going to be an ego-driven turf warrior in their office, who is going to really collaboratively and successfully contribute to the profitability of their organization. And these are women that, let's face it, they're probably not going to get pregnant. So that's got huge value for our employers, because many of you know that younger employees don't have the same sense of loyalty that people in the Gen X and the Boomer generations have. And that's creating a real strain for employers. So when we can deliver a loyal, talented, and reliable workforce to our local businesses, they absolutely love it. And we've been hearing great things from the businesses that we've been working with to help place talent into those ecosystems.
Great, thank you. So now I would like to open this up to audience questions, and I'm going to give you some instructions on how to do that. And then Betsy, while we're waiting for those questions to come in, I have one more for you.
Okay.
So if you are on Zoom, if you're on our Zoom webinar, you are welcome to type your question in the chat box. You can find the chat box by hovering on the bottom of your screen if you're on your computer, or clicking the three dots if you're on your phone. Just go ahead and type in your question. It can be anything from what's this program about to I'm facing a challenge as I'm relaunching myself right now. We'd love to hear from you. If you are watching this on Facebook right now, go ahead and put a comment under our Facebook Live video, and we'd be happy to read that out and answer your question. I will say that we did have a note that Pam Massengale is watching us online right now, one of our Class 1 graduates. So Pam, thanks for being here. And I know there are several other graduates on the line as well. So while
Sorry, I think it would be great to hear from, I know we've got some people that are, unfortunately, we're supposed to have our class that finished. I think they were supposed to finish a couple weeks ago. And then, of course, our stay-at-home order has prevented that from happening. We've got a couple people that are in the current class on this call, and I know we've got a couple people who've graduated. I would love for those guys to share some comments if they feel comfortable doing that. And you can definitely, I think, can they raise their hand, or does that need to go in the chat box, Amy?
Yes, we can do the raise hand button. I did hear from Debbie Kerr-Henry that she would like to say a little something. So Debbie, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. And if you unmute yourself on your end, you are able to talk and you can share anything that you'd like.
Am I there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So actually, I didn't know I was actually going to get to speak. I thought I'd be typing in, but thank you for giving me that opportunity, Amy. I just wanted to be able to contribute in whatever way I can, because I gained so much from Relaunch. And as I've listened to you, Betsy, everything you said, I experienced in my Relaunch class. I entered that class very insecure, not really knowing what my place was in this next season of my life, and not really having it all figured out either after graduating. And I was in, I think, the longest graduating class, right? Several months. So, but anyway, like you said, in the process, I got a lot closer by the time I graduated. And in this past year, ironically, just today, I was writing a story about Relaunch because the graduation anniversary is coming up, April 30th. So I am getting ready to write a story. I'm a writer and trying to be a professional speaker as well. And so I will be posting a story about Relaunch at the end of this month. And one of the things that I was really reflecting on is just the opportunity I had through Relaunch to figure out who I was in this next season, and just really having the backing through Relaunch to do that. You talked about the hard skills and the soft skills, and that was definitely a key component to the program. I think for me, the most important piece was just leaving the program knowing that, yes, I can do this and I can figure this out in my next season. It may not happen in 1 or 2 steps or 3 steps, as you often said. That's how many points you need to win tennis.
Two steps. Yep.
Oh, maybe it was 3 for me. But anyway, just, not being afraid to take the next step, whether it's 2 or 3 or 4, 5, or 6, but to keep taking those steps and working the process. And in that process, gaining the confidence and finding the clarity in yourself and what, what your branding is, like you said. So thank you for that opportunity. And any of you who are just checking out the program right now who might be with us, I would encourage you to take that step and join and just show up. Thank you.
Thanks, Debbie. It's great to hear your voice, especially now. And thanks for reminding us of the anniversary of your class graduating. We did used to offer this once a month over the school year, and we just realized that was too long of a time between sessions. So now we offer it on a weekly cycle. And Debbie was one of our early pioneer kind of warrior women that came through that class, and really appreciate you sharing your story, Debbie. Thank you.
We also have another graduate, Jen Bishop, on the call. So Jen, we'd love to hear from you. If you'd like, you can unmute yourself and go ahead and talk.
Yes, I can't say enough about this program. it gave me such confidence that I needed to get back in the workforce. I had stayed home for 17 years. So when I joined the program, I had no idea what LinkedIn was. I think I was calling it the incorrect name for a while. I didn't know what Microsoft Outlook was. So I really lacked a lot of those hard skills. So I not only learned that, but I also gained confidence I really needed. I acquired new skills. I have my own income, which is great. And I get to wear clothes other than leggings and get to put makeup on. So it just really taught me so much. And I would just encourage anyone who is back and forth about whether it's the right program for them, it is. Take that first step, because I can't say enough about it. Thanks.
Thanks, Jen. Those of you who've been through the program know we talk about leggings sometimes, and we talk about how we need to stop wearing them so we can tell people what we're really about and start projecting an image of I'm going back to work, and we'll teach you that in the program. And then I remind everybody you get to wear leggings on the weekend, so you don't have to give your leggings up completely, but it is kind of a joke for those of us who've been through the program. So thanks for bringing that up and for your nice comments. Thank you.
And we have a couple of comments and questions coming through.
Okay.
First comment is from Angela Katzer. She says she's with Relaunch Class 1, the original, and the program allowed her to recognize her talents, therefore having the confidence to start her own company. So, love hearing from Angela. And then we have a question from Melanie. Melanie says she's considering going back to work. However, her prior field was mental health and education, both of which have different requirements for re-entering. So she's not sure if this type of program would be good for her, since it's a little bit different than entering a typical business job. She says she may need to go back to school for certain courses, etc. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
So what I will say is I know that what we do is we help people focus. And we help them focus their journey, whether that's back through certification. One of the people we worked with this year is a woman who was contemplating going to get her MBA. And she was like you, Melanie. She was thinking, I don't know if this is the right program for me because I'm going to go get my MBA. And she actually has applied to an MBA program and will be attending the MBA program in the fall, and felt that the class really helped to make the most vigorous application she could for the MBA program, and then also enabled her to be more focused on what she wanted from the MBA program and what she was able to sort of prioritize and strategize about how she wanted to see herself coming out of that program. So we're a first step in helping you understand what you want from your career journey. So I know that we could be helpful in terms of that, and maybe help you strategize about what certification classes would be right for you to make us the next step.
Wonderful. And I'm also getting some comments that people want more information about the program. I'm going to go ahead and share our relaunch website with you in the chat box. I'll also follow up for those on the webinar with that information in an email. On that website, you can find details about the curriculum topics that we cover, as well as a sign up for our free online class starting on Tuesday. So please be encouraged to sign up and join us on Tuesday. Betsy, I wonder if you would like to share a little bit about why now's a great time to join us for this program, and how we can utilize this time while we're at home to prepare.
Yeah, so we've been talking to the business community about this is a great time for capacity building and upskilling. So we have in Florida, as of the third week of March, 222,000 people have filed for unemployment, which is 10 times the number of people that filed for unemployment in 2009 for the entire year. So there's going to be a lot of people coming back into work all of a sudden, just as all these people left work all of a sudden. And we want to be thinking about enabling people to come back to work stronger and better than ever. This is the time to create capacity. This is the time to upskill, meaning if you used to work in marketing, but you got out of marketing before there was Adobe Photoshop, this is a great time to go on a website we'll connect you with and teach you how to get certified in Adobe Photoshop for free. So we want you all to be thinking about what your reentry looks like, and this is a great time for you to get skills to return to the workplace, to understand what skills you have never lost, and to think about how you can combine the soft skills that you've learned being at home as a community volunteer or a parent. One of the things that I will say is there's never a good time to do this. We hear from people all the time, oh, I'm going to do it next in the fall when my tennis is over. Or, wait, there's never, ever a good time to do this. And there'll always be a reason why you just can't make it work. And we would say, have the courage to take the first step. Because once you do, you'll be on your journey, and there's a lot to be afraid of from where you're sitting right now, because there's a lot of unknowns out there. You launched your career early in your life. You maybe not have relaunched before, and you might be scared about that because it's an unknown. That's a very common feeling that every single person that comes into our program feels, and it's definitely a feeling I felt when I went back to work. So I would say to you, there's never, ever going to be a good time. Don't wait for perfect. I know that we will go back to charging a fee for this program. So I would say this is the one time we're going to offer this for free. And we're doing it out of a sense of responsibility to care for our community right now. We want to equip people with opportunities to help them catalyze their recovery following the pandemic. And we're doing this right now because we want to be in the community as a solutions driver. So what I will also say is that it takes a lot of courage to take that first step, and we know that. So we would love to have you join us on the webinar. The other thing that's hard is that because we're a Chamber of Commerce, we work primarily with businesses who already employ people. It's really hard for us to find stay-at-home moms in our network. So if you'd be kind enough to share Facebook posts or any information you've got today, or if you want to email us to give you some things to share on your Facebook or send out to people you know, we would love for you to bring a friend to the webinar, because it's really hard for us to find stay-at-home moms in the universe of the Winter Park Chamber of Commerce. So if you can tag a friend, they don't have to be from Florida. We'll have people on this webinar from London, Connecticut, St. Augustine. We're hoping to get some Canadians, maybe some people from North Carolina as well. So we'll be able to release some of the geographical boundaries we've had in the past, and we're looking forward to providing a truly global experience on this webinar. And we hope that you'll join us and let your friends know from wherever they might be that this is a place for them if they're looking to catalyze their return to work journey.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Betsy. At this time, I don't have any further questions coming through on Zoom or Facebook. I want to thank Tiffany Cahill for helping me monitor the Facebook side of this. And thank you for all of the Relaunch alumni that joined. We're getting lots of comments of our alumni and just sharing how helpful Relaunch was for them. So great to see you on here. And with that, let's close it out, Betsy.
Thank you so much, Amy, and to my team. Again, to the Relaunch alumni, we hope to see you all soon on our webinar on Tuesday. Please stay safe and well, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon in any event. Thanks for joining us today.